Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. The exercise class I was in last week, the instructor shared, when you look at the leaderboard and you see the one above you or a few above you, don't feel that they're your competitor. Feel that they're your training buddy. They are your training buddy. A peloton is a group of bikers that are gathered in a close area. And for all of us who don't bike, this seems dangerous, it seems annoying. Scientifically, though, when you're in this group, there's less drag. There's less pull on you by 5-10% if you're positioned well. So being in this peloton makes you more efficient, makes you more effective. This is what Meaningful Mornings is. We are a peloton, not for our bodies, but rather for our minds. When we see each other, when we hear each other, there's less of a drag to get up, less of a drag to continue with our day. We are flowing through the completion now of the importance of sense direction. In verse 62, dhyayataha, which means to be distracted. All of the negativities that come, and we've studied some of them, more are coming, all begin with being distracted. Which is why Acharya Shankara shares in Bhajagovinam, Kuru avadhanam, which means be careful. Mahat avadhanam, be extremely careful. I find our society to be very careless about being distracted, whether it's texting and driving, showing those who are too young screens, not being an active listener. Just from distraction, the rest of the negativities come. What are they? Sangaha, which is attachment. When I'm distracted, I project these three S's onto an article being circumstance. The first is Shobha Adhyasa, which is to project beauty. That's beautiful. And just think of this deeply. If I'm projecting that's beautiful, that means I feel ugly. The next is Sukha Adhyasa, to project that that is pleasurable or worth having. And the deepest, this is Sampurna Adhyasa, to project that if I have this, I will feel complete. Starts with beauty, becomes deeper to worth having, and becomes very deep with this will complete me. And all of this is a projection we get attached to. Dhyayataha causes sangaha. Sangaha causes kamaha, which is desire. The symptom of desire is being restless. The source of desire is forgetfulness. When I forget who I am or even what I have, I desire someone else. I desire someone else's things. Again, our society, we as seekers tend to take desire lightly. The next time you have a desire, try to observe your mind. It is impossible not to have a disturbed mind if you have a desire. With desire, there will be disturbance. Nobody wants a disturbed mind, yet our wants are causing that. From kamaha, what comes? Krodaha, or anger. Distraction, attachment, desire, anger. The symptom of anger, imbalance. Physically, your heart beats faster, you feel hotter. Mentally, the words you use, the words you think. And the source of this symptom is misexpectation. You have an expectation that has not been met. This is so obvious. There are endless desirers, us. Yet what we desire is not endless. It's quite finite and limited. So if you get it, I'm angry, correct? And think, if I get it, what happens to me? I become greedy. I have it and you don't. This is obvious, which is why in the next chapter, Sri Krishna describes Krodha as Mahapapma. Mahapapma means that which causes us to think and speak and act in ways that are moving us away from evolution. Tonight in Satsang and Smile, our subject is controlling versus guiding. And so much of our exploration will relate to anger. Before we continue to the next part of this verse, this ladder, in our Upanishad, what is described as limiting us is the Hridaya Grantihi, the knots of the heart, that which makes us feel incomplete, heavy-hearted. The three knots are described as avidya, kama, karma. You've heard this before. I've elaborated upon this even more, and why I'm sharing this with you, because Sri Krishna is saying the exact same, just using words that we understand more. What is avidya? It is being distracted. When I forget that I'm content, I'm distracted. What comes from that? Vikshepa, or projection. The language here, attachment. I project this and this and this and become attached to it. After vikshepa, kama, or desire. That word is used here openly. Another word for kama, for those who are technically noting this, is eshana. We have three fundamental desires, which I'll share with you in time. From kama comes vritti, which means thoughts. And here the word is krodha. When you're angry, do you think more or do you think less? You have more thoughts, correct? But they're not in your control anymore. And this is why Rishi Patanjali has shared yoga's purpose is chitta vritti nirodha, to transcend the thoughts, which really means to transcend desire, to transcend projection, to transcend incompleteness. From vritti comes karma, being a workaholic, depending on results. And the next four rungs in this ladder showcase this. Verse 63. Krodad bhavati sammohaha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti bhramshat buddhi nashaha, buddhi nashat pranashyati. Krodhat, from anger, bhavati, what comes? Sammohaha. The English word for sammohaha is delusion, and we will use that word, delusion. Delusion, personalizing this, is when you believe in an illusion. If you don't believe in an illusion, it's entertaining. But once you believe it, one becomes deluded. As an example, if you go to a carnival and you see a house of mirrors, you're taller, you're shorter, it's entertaining. If a dog goes there, what does the dog see? All these different dogs that are there. Believing the illusion, that dog becomes deluded. And the same happens with us after anger. Sammohat smriti vibhramaha. The cause is delusion. The effect is amnesia. Amnesia. Smriti vibhramaha means to forget. To forget what you know. So here I'm using the word amnesia. At this stage of our falling, we forget the purpose for why we're alive. Our purpose is no longer evolution. Our purpose is no longer enlightenment. Many of our Puranas, Ramayana, Bhagavatam, showcase when one forgets their purpose. Yes? An open example of that is Raja Parikshita. When he's hungry and thirsty, he forgets that he is the king, that he is to protect people. What does he do? He as if harms people then, right? Smriti Bhramshat Buddhi Nashaha. The cause is amnesia. The effect is being devolved, to be devolved. At the beginning of chapter 2, Sri Krishna tells Prince Arjuna, you are being anaryan, which means you're being ignoble. Here, buddhi nashaha doesn't mean you're being ignoble. It means you're being inhumane. Those are very different. All of us sometimes are ignoble, but I don't think anyone here is inhumane. Where you've lost track that you're a human. This is what happens. And finally, buddhi nashat. When one's intellect is not being used, it is lost. So, the effect, pranashyati, one is annihilated. That's the English word that is used. He perishes, so annihilated. One who has fallen completely, this ladder of fall, all they experience is sorrow. Pranashyati, there is no ananda. Not in thinking, not in speaking, not in acting, only sorrow. I'll share more of a review on this tomorrow, but I hope at least you caught my alliteration. From inspiration to application. Your application was to reflect on when one is distracted, any description of pleasure, possession, position overwhelms them. And some of you shared your reflections. Here's one. Those who are distracted, they are living in samsara, which means they just spin and spin and spin. Those who are focused, they live in the jagat, which means creation. Samsara is because of avidya. One has forgotten that they are the source of joy. The jagat is an expression of vidya. This is God's world. That was another term I used earlier. where you know your relationship with creation. Ravana was distracted. And as an example, Sri Lakshmana, who was also with Devi Sita, he was focused that he is to serve her. And the implication for all of us is don't blame creation. If you're distracted, it's because you're distracted. Nothing is distracting inherently. Your application for this morning, we have completed 6 verses on sense direction. I want you to write the sense direction sutras. For each of these verses, you have to come up with the most practical reminder to live with sense direction. Okay? I will share my sutras with you tomorrow. 6 verses, 6 sutras, reminders. Shanti, Shanti, Shantihi. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be happiness.